Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how you doing? What we're going to be talking about today is something that I have been wanting to talk about for years. And I have been making videos, on preparing for the unexpected, right? But never once, and I'm so sorry about this, have I ever done a video about preparing for our elders. We set our own priorities, right? And sometimes we overlook what life is like for others as they age. And a time will come when we may be living on our own or at a stage where we need to consider like assisted living quarters. As I've thought about this for a long time, I know of at least 15 or so items that older people want for survival. I've spoken to my parents, I've spoken to my mother in law, I've spoken to other elders that are in my life. And with that being said, please remember that your family members or your friends that are living alone or possibly even in a care center, when considering these needed things for survival, we may think that our mom, our dad, our aunts, uncles, even a dear friend, they'll be fine if a disaster hits. It's fine. They've been living alone. They're all right, right? Or they live close by. We got them. Or they're living in an assisted living facility. They'll be all right. But if we seriously consider their circumstances, we know better. The employees in a long-term care center can only help so much when it comes to a disaster. There will probably be panic. We expect that, especially with older patients. So let's get started to help those that we love to prepare before they need to be prepared. And I want you to think about this situation if you haven't already. What we discuss could be your real life situation sometime in the future, if not already. Let's say we have a minor disaster. Older people sometimes will be unsure of what's going on around them. Seniors may be scared, so let's hope that they can call you if the power is out, the wind is howling, the snow is heavy, or other issues raise some concern. It doesn't have to be a hurricane or earthquake for them to get nervous or need emotional or physical support. Hopefully, they will remember to keep their cell phones charged if they even have one. If they live alone, I would think that they would have neighbors that they can reach out to for help if needed. If a caring family lives nearby, that's awesome. If the roads still work, and they can get to them. We never know what kind of disaster or unforeseen emergency may occur. And of course, we don't want to alarm our older family members. But if something serious does happen, we would want them to have a few items in their home or in the care facility to help them get through. Now, remember, it's all about a peace of mind for them. And I know that my mom and dad are prepared. I learned from them, they learned from me. My parents watch my videos. So, hi, mom and dad. I love you. My parents taught me well from a very young age to be prepared for what may ever come my way. So, let's talk about a list of things to get for our elders. You don't need to get all of these items today. I recommend getting a few things, start with food and water, and then take it from there. So the first thing, let's talk about water, okay? As we all know, water is essential for survival and probably the most important item. Please make sure that any containers of water have lids that can be easily opened by the elderly. Remember, some may have rheumatoid arthritis and they're not going to be able to open a water bottle on their own. If the water is turned off because it's tainted or a disaster strikes, the pumping station or the main water line breaks, we all still need water. The very minimum is 4 gallons per person per day for me when you consider drinking for proper hydration, personal hygiene, limited laundry efforts like underwear. But of course, it's easier to plan water storage when the elderly are still living at home. You can buy water storage containers of various sizes that work very well. Now, in the description box below, there is recommended water to buy for elders that are in care centers. Why? Because they're easy to open. They're called Blue Can Premium Emergency Drinking Water. Okay, so that link is in the description box below. So the next thing is food. This is one of the most critical items besides water, because even if they live in a care center, because of if the roads are damaged or the grocery stores are empty or they're closed, those care centers will be unable to feed all of the residents after a few days because, like the grocery stores, they only carry food for 3 days for their residents. Okay, so if you have a loved one living alone, they might not even think about having some shelf stable items, non perishable items in their pantries. Actually, they might not even have a pantry. If you can take them at least a week's worth of food that you know that they're going to eat, consider doing it today or tomorrow. Just trust me, you will feel so much better knowing that they have a few items to eat. Even if it's a few pouches of tuna, some of the, individual packets of mayo and some crackers, a loaf of bread with peanut butter and jelly, just something to get them by. Okay. Now, if you can afford 30 days worth of food, bravo. Okay. Not all of us can do that. But I mean, in all honesty, we're talking about our grandparents, our parents, our aunts and uncles, our elders here. Okay. Prepackaged items, it's the best, but make sure it is food that they like to eat. We want to keep things as normal as possible for them because we don't want them getting scared or anxious or whatever the case may be. We have to keep them calm. And this food also has to be eaten without needing to be cooked as well. Okay. So having things that provide high quality nutritional status so they can stay as healthy as possible. This is another reason that I have been making pressure canning ready-made meals. Okay, so grab some, like I said, like the tuna in the pack, where all you have to do is rip open the pack, and sometimes there's even like barbecue sauce in there or ranch sauce in there and stuff like that. All they have to do is just take some crackers and dip it in there. Okay, and they've got a nice lunch. Okay, pretzels and peanut butter, or pretzels and cheese, something that's easy to open and serve and just eat. Okay, walk down the supermarket aisle and just grab a few items that don't need to be specially prepared and throw in a can opener, something that's easy for them to use. Even if it's battery operated, I would prefer something like that because, like I said, a lot of them, they have like rheumatoid arthritis and I can't even use a manual can opener because of my arthritis. And I'm only going to be 48. So think of something that is battery operated. That might be better for them. So having sufficient food and water helps them maintain cognitive function And you certainly don't want them to experience cognitive decline if at all possible. So now let's talk about like flashlights, okay? Without proper lighting, dark surroundings will become unsafe, especially for our elders, because if they fall down because they didn't see something that's on the floor, that's a whole nother scenario, okay? And plus, you don't know if they're, not for nothing, but they still get scared of the dark, okay? So just remember to give them some extra batteries to store in a safe place. And you may want to consider maybe some solar flashlights or solar lanterns from the dollar store. And don't forget hearing aid batteries too. So the next thing is money. There's something about having cash and coins in your possession because ATMs and banks may not be available if the power goes out for an extended amount of time. So if the person that you care about is in a care center, check and see if they have a safe that's available for their tenants, okay? So on to sanitation items. Even though there may be an emergency situation outside that most people are concerned about, people still need to be concerned about proper sanitation inside the home or the care facility. Consider the best items for your loved ones that will make them feel clean and safe, like baby wipes, hand sanitizer, denture repair kits, okay? The next one that I want to talk about is something that I don't think a lot of people think about, and that's a whistle. In times of an emergency, we may need to get the attention of others. And this is particularly true of our elders. If they're home by themselves, having a whistle to attract those that are looking for survivors or to let authorities know that someone is at home is extremely important. There may be a time when the neighborhood is being canvassed to alert the public that it's time to evacuate. And having that whistle certainly gives the elderly another level of comfort. Even in a care center, the tenants may need to get someone's attention. And this could apply to emergencies outside or their own time of distress if they fall down in the bathroom or they can't get to the strength to get out of bed. And it's a really cheap safety tool, okay? So now let's talk about first aid kits. Emergencies come in all shapes and sizes. So some could be a major disaster with all the activities that could be expected. Others could be a personal emergency. Say they're, cutting up some bread at home and they cut their hand or their finger. Okay. A simple band-aid is critical if that's all they need. So I think every home and care center room, individual room, should have some kind of a first aid kit. Doesn't have to be a large fancy kit because they're not going to know what all of that stuff is for anyway, unless they were an EMT in their younger days. It just needs those products that are commonly used, like antibiotic ointment or band-aids or gauze, stuff like that, for just in case. If they have any scripts that they take on a daily basis, make sure they have a sufficient amount to get them through for like a week or two without access to the pharmacy, because if they don't already have one on hand, get one of those, the boxes, Monday through Sunday, the boxes, okay? And make sure that they're filled up for each of the day and they can be stored with the proper amount so it's taken as suggested. You know what I'm saying? A cell phone charger. If they have a cell phone, get a portable cell phone charger. Because if the power is out, they're not going to be able to charge it, with the wall charger. So get a cell phone charger. It's portable cell phone charger. The one that I use is in the description box below. It's for Android. okay? And they're cheap. It's like $20, and it's solar. You just put it in the windowsill and it works great, okay? Um, Now, we all try to we rely too much. We do. We rely too much on our cell phones for communication to stay informed on so many different levels. And even though our elders may not use their cell phones like we do, that cell phone may be their only way of communication. You know what I mean? In scenario. So if it's functional, you can keep that cell phone working with a necessary charge if you have one of those portable chargers. One thing to consider is if the person has a car, they can use their car charger in a pinch too. Okay. People should consider having other forms of communication like walkie talkies. Those are cheap to get on Amazon as well. A crank radio. Those are excellent to have. They're hand crank radio. They also work by battery. They're also solar. Yeah, I'm just saying, these are things that I think about. Okay. The next thing is a CPAP charger. I know a lot of our elders use CPAPs. This is critical for people who use CPAPs and they need oxygen to breathe during the day and in the night. Panic will set in big time if they cannot breathe when the power is shut off for any amount of time, especially if they have asthma. They need power for a nebulizer as well. Their glasses. They need to store an extra pair of their prescription glasses in case one pair breaks or they lose them, okay? Make sure they have at least 30, if not 90 days of their necessary scripts filled if possible. Yes, I realize that Medicare, Medicaid, and stuff like that, supplemental insurance, they only cover so much. I get it. But if you have to pay cash for that extra refill, okay? Because you might not be able to get to a pharmacy, okay? And if you have to go to the dollar store to get the readers just so they can see what's in front of them, even if it's only a few inches, they'll be thankful. Make an emergency contact list for them. And this is, so they can get a hold of you, their neighbor, because, in an emergency, they may get confused. So take a piece of paper, write the names down, the addresses, the phone numbers, the email addresses if they know how to email, of family, friends, doctors, insurance companies, just to name a few, and make sure they know where it is, like put it on the refrigerator, okay? And also, the last thing, make a list of what scripts they're on, the dose, how many times a day they take it, etc. And make copies of their Medicaid and Medicare cards, their insurance cards, their prescription cards, and make sure they have copies of all of their important documents like their birth certificates, social security card, etc. and put it in a binder, okay? Even if you have to give them one and you keep one for yourself, okay? So I'm sorry it took me so long to make this video, and I should not have waited. But I did. I'm glad I finally did it. I really am. So, all right, guys, that's all for this video. I will see you in the next one. You stay safe, you stay positive, you keep prepping. And as always, fearless. Ciao.